3 decades before 26 students and staff members were gunned down at Sandy Hook, another idyllic Connecticut community was rocked by a school shooting. Located some 40 miles from Newtown, the town of Portland is a small, quiet place. Portland residents are proud of their little hamlet along the Connecticut River. They're protective of it too, older folks in particular. That's why few in town are comfortable talking about the horrific events which unfolded on December 10, 1985, the day a 13-year-old student walked into Portland Junior High School with a gun and a score to settle. Welcome to wicked Connecticut. Portland Junior High School students described classmate Floyd Wormsley as a nice kid overall. He'd gotten into his share of trouble in school, a fight here, a dress code violation there, but you wouldn't have pegged him as a potential school shooter. School principal Don Rickson told a reporter Wormsley, quote, seemed to have a very strong sense of fairness. If he felt that he deserved the punishment, he had no difficulty accepting it. I remember one occasion he came up to me and said, I did it, I was wrong. But in the days leading up to December 10, 1985, Wormsley's temperament took a dark turn. One student said the 8th grader had been acting strange and seemed down. And less than a week before Wormsley menaced the 2-story brownstone school, he had a heated exchange with Principal Rickson, again, about the dress code. That confrontation occurred on Friday, December 6th. The following Tuesday, the 10th, Wormsley came to Rickson's first-floor office at about 10:30 a.m., saying he didn't feel well and demanding that his sister, a student at Portland High School, be notified. Rickson didn't go along with that. The principal advised Wormsley to see the school nurse, which upset the teen, prompting him to exit the building. The next time Principal Rickson saw Floyd Wormsley was about 2 hours later, when the youth reappeared at his office showing a 9mm pistol. Rickson was in a meeting with a staff member when the armed 8th grader entered the room. As the stunned educators pleaded with Wormsley to lay the gun down, the 13-year-old intruder pointed the weapon in their direction and played with the safety switch. Principal Rickson told Wormsley that he was scared, prompting the boy to respond, I'm scared too. Wormsley then ordered Rickson and the other faculty member in the room, physical education teacher Jim Stannard, to start walking. The men complied, and Wormsley followed them out into the empty hallway. With his life in the hands of an unstable kid, Don Rickson decided to take a chance. The principal knew the main office up ahead had a heavy fire door that could be locked. So as he and teacher Jim Stannard came upon that office, Rickson pushed his colleague inside, ducked in himself, and slammed the door before Wormsley had time to react. Unable to bull his way into the office, Floyd Wormsley fired his weapon at the door, sending glass flying. Principal Rickson sustained cuts to his face, and a school secretary received a superficial wound, but they were safe behind that thick door. The gunfire at the main office sent the population of Portland Junior High School scrambling, and the police were alerted. Meanwhile, the 8th-grade gunman Floyd Wormsley dashed upstairs. There, he took a 7th-grade boy hostage. Also on the 2nd floor, Wormsley crossed paths with custodian David Bengston, who was helping students escape the building. Wormsley leveled his weapon at Bengston and fired, killing the 36-year-old with a shot to the head. David Bengston, a resident of Portland, left behind a wife and 2 young sons. After gunning Bengston down, 13-year-old Floyd Wormsley roamed the 2nd floor with his hostage as terrified students hid behind locked doors and overturned desks. One student said she was in the school's computer lab when Wormsley entered, pulling his hostage by the arm. The 13-year-old girl said, he saw me and came in to talk with me. I asked him if he was going to shoot everybody. He just said he had to get out of here. The girl said Wormsley and his captive then exited the room. The gunman was on the move, but it was clear he had no grand plan. Much of the school's 380-person student body had fled the building, and more than 40 state troopers were now outside. Wormsley's father and an aunt were there too. Using the public address system, Wormsley's aunt pleaded with him to surrender, which he did, tossing his gun from a window. The 7th grader who had been taken hostage was not hurt. This entire tragic event lasted less than an hour, during which time Wormsley fired 12 shots. David Bengston was killed while ushering Portland Middle School students to safety on December 10, 1985. By all accounts, he was the type of guy who would do anything for you. He was a hunter and a fisherman, and was raising his young sons to embrace the outdoors. The town of Portland memorialized Bengston by naming a school gymnasium after him. The plaque outside the gym features a photo of Bengston, bearded and smiling wide, and a quote, which reads, "Have faith in yourself and in your own abilities. Be glad that you are who you are, but strive to grow. Living is becoming. Life is a journey. Above all, believe. Believe in life. Believe in humankind. Believe in yourself." Floyd Wormsley was found guilty of the murder of David Bengston and sentenced to 4 years in a juvenile facility. In Connecticut, a person under the age of 14 cannot be tried as an adult, no matter how serious the crime, and if found guilty, the person cannot be ordered to remain in juvenile custody more than 4 years. Wormsley stayed out of trouble while locked up and was released after just 3 years. It turns out, the gun Floyd Wormsley used to terrorize Portland Junior High School belonged to his father, who possessed it legally. After storming out of Principal Rickson's office on December 10, 1985, Floyd Wormsley went home to retrieve the weapon. David Bengston's widow, Bonnie, would sue Floyd Wormsley and his father. The suit claimed the elder Wormsley, quote, carelessly and negligently failed to restrain his minor son, although he knew or should have known that he possessed a violent temper and had a propensity for violence. Bonnie Bengston also filed suit against Intratec USA, the manufacturer of the gun used in her husband's slaying. As for Floyd Wormsley, a quick internet search doesn't shed much light on what he's been up to the past nearly 4 decades, just that he's lived in a couple of communities nearby Portland. He did make the news not too long ago, though. On October 11, 2014, at 1:32 a.m., police were called to a McDonald's restaurant in Middletown, Connecticut, for reports that a man had fallen asleep inside his idling truck in the drive-thru line. The customer had ordered 4 cheeseburgers before nodding off. A newspaper report states, Floyd Wormsley, 41, was sitting in the driver's seat with his head down and eyes closed after a McDonald's employee tried to wake him up, but failed. The write-up says, when a police officer tapped Wormsley on the shoulder, he woke up and tried to hand money to the cop, presumably for the cheeseburgers. When asked if he was ill, on medication, or had a health condition, Wormsley said no, but admitted to drinking 4 cans of beer. The report says Wormsley failed a sobriety test and was charged with driving under the influence. Chillingly, on his way to school on the morning of December 10, 1985, Floyd Wormsley told one of his busmates something along the lines of, "I'm about to make the biggest mistake of my life." 1 year after her husband was murdered by Wormsley on the 2nd floor of Portland Junior High School, Bonnie Bengston told a journalist she felt no anger toward his killer. "This kid has his whole life ahead of him," she said, adding, "I want him to get help. He has a lot of bottled up anger in him. Teach him how to deal with anger instead of getting a gun and killing someone." All these years later, Portland, Connecticut, looks very much the same as it did on the day of the shooting. Residents don't want businesses and housing on every available plot of land, and local officials agree. People like the place just the way it is, and in 2011, Portland, Connecticut was recognized by Money magazine as one of the best small towns in America. I would like to give a shout-out to the many journalists whose work I poured over in order to piece together this narrative. Much obliged. Thanks for listening to Wicked Connecticut. Feel free to email me. The address is in the show notes. Until next time, I'm your host, John Haynes.